In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my personal experience going off of antidepressants from start to finish and what's happened now afterwards. And it's part of a collab video too. Yes, we are back with another collab. If you are a regular viewer to my channel, you will know what I'm talking about. The hashtag this time is inspired by you. Hence the reason why I am doing this particular video, because the inspiration that I've had for the last couple of months in my life is the absolute soul-sucking adventure of me weaning off of antidepressants. So here on the screen, you will see the other wonderful people in the collab. Please go check them out. They are a lot nicer and a lot less grosser than my channel, not as depressing. So you might find them quite delightful. But if you have come from one of the other people's channels and you think that I'm going to be something similar to these wonderful human beings in the collab, turn back now. I honestly turn back now. You have made a bad decision. If you want to participate in the hashtag, by all means, go for it. I will have the details somewhere in the description. Now, a disclaimer to this video is that this is my personal experience. You may go through something completely different, as we all do go through things differently. So keep that in mind. But this is just a guide to what you may or may not experience if you are coming down off of antidepressants. And if you happen to just stumble across this video because you are seeking a little bit more, reality and sort of want to feel like you're not alone, and you want to get some sort of understanding and relief, well, yeah, you've come to the right place. You may go through something worse, or you may go through not much at all. Just depends on you and how you take medication, basically. But if this video does help someone out there in some way, then that makes me happy, because you are not alone and what you are going through will pass. And if you are concerned about anything, please seek medical advice. So if you saw the title of this video and you ended up here for the first time and you're not familiar with my previous videos, I did one on anxiety and depression, which I am a huge sufferer from. And I have been suffering from it for the last 25 years. Now, if you want to watch that video to see exactly what I went through, by all means, I will have a link up in the top of the screen where the end card, like the cards usually are. So if you want to click on that first before watching this, by all means do that. We'll give you an insight into what I went through before I went on antidepressants 4 years ago. So I have been on an antidepressant called Lexapro. So what is Lexapro? Well, its pharmaceutical name is escitalopram, and it's designed to treat depression and generalized anxiety. And it works by increasing the levels of serotonin in your brain and restore balance to the chemicals in your brain to create happiness. It also helps with the serotonin in your stomach as well, because most of serotonin lives in your stomach, and it helps the serotonin travel up the gut-brain axis. Lexapro belongs to a class of antidepressants called SSRIs, which is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Escitalopram is a slower working antidepressant, which means it can take anywhere from a few weeks to even 2 to 3 months before you notice any difference, and it starts fully working because it has to build up in your system to properly work. I'm not going to get into it much because I'd prefer you to watch the other video, which explains everything, but I have been suffering from anxiety since I was 15. I developed it back in 1999. Yes, I'm that old. And it turned my whole life upside down. I basically had to get used to a whole new normal. That's what it does to you. So I suffered through it for 20 odd years because I didn't want to go on medication, because I had had a bad reaction with medication back when I was 16. So I was kind of scarred. But I thought after 20 odd years of a constant battle with anxiety, I was absolutely fucking tired. I was tired and worn out, and I had several doctors tell me that, hey, it's changed. There's new drugs out now, and they're a lot better. And so I bit the bullet, and I decided to go on Lexapro. So this was 4 years ago. I started I think it was about December 2018. I left my job. I was an IT technician for about 14 years, and the job just didn't resonate with me anymore. And I was basically getting in the car and crying to work all the time. Every morning I would get in the car and cry to work. And I just couldn't function. And I sort of hit another peak. Like, I'd go through waves of anxiety and depression. And that'd been happening for 20 odd years. So yeah, it was time for me to just try and get some good head space. So I spent most of 2019 in and out of my doctor's surgery, getting monitored, and basically starting off with 5 milligrams of Lexapro, then after a few weeks, then increasing to 10, and then stayed on that for a few months, and then I went straight up to 20 milligrams. And I had been on 20 milligrams of Lexapro up until last November. So November 2022, I made the absolutely stupid decision to go off of it. And because I felt like I was fine. And Lexapro changed my life. It honestly had. I basically was nearly 100% normal. And I tell you what, I was happy. For 4 years, I was happy. I was next to normal. Obviously, you still have your bad days. You still get anxiety. Like, I still got anxiety going to appointments. I fucking hate appointments. Shit like that. So it was pretty good though. I could manage it. I stopped crying. I stopped having panic attacks. I had a stable mindset, and generally just didn't give a fuck about anything. And that's how it made me feel. And I loved that, like, about myself. Like, I felt like I could do anything and tackle anything. And that's why I thought that maybe I could carry that mindset across and go off of Lexapro, and yeah, I would be okay. The biggest thing is I don't want to support Big Pharma anymore. And that was the main reason why I decided to go off of it, because I felt good, and the fact that I didn't want to be part of the Big Pharma and the Matrix. So since November 2022, I went from 20 milligrams of Lexapro to 15 for 10 days, as advised by my doctor, then down to 10 from there for a few months. And then after a few months, I then went down to 5 milligrams. Like, you have to do a weaning process, because just quitting antidepressants cold turkey is not good for you at all. And trust me, when I get into it, even tapering down off of antidepressants still can be absolutely brutal. So basically, my last day of taking Lexapro was the 20th of March 2023, so only a couple of months ago. Basically, about probably 2.5 months ago. Now, the only thing that I noticed when I was tapering off of it is my mood did start to change. I started to get a little bit more angrier and a little bit more moody, and my sleep was back to being rubbish. But yeah, I did keep a diary of how I was feeling, as it is recommended, and honestly, I thought that I was prepared for how bad the withdrawal symptoms were going to be, but I was not at all. I was not prepared for what was to come. So the first day I didn't really feel anything. The only thing I noticed was that night that I had irritated eyes, and that's nothing unusual because I suffer from sinus. It was actually the next day, the second day of going off the pills, that I noticed that by the afternoon of the second day, I was starting to go downhill. I was starting to feel extremely nauseous, very dizzy, and I was just basically feeling like a pile of shit. And then the third day was when it really hit me. Like, I woke up that morning and I thought I was going to die. I had every imaginable symptom of withdrawal. Go and Google it, what the withdrawal symptoms are. I had everything but vomiting. That's the only thing that I didn't do, surprisingly, was vomit, but I had everything else. I basically took 4 steps out of bed and burst into tears. I had a tightness in my chest. I had brain zaps. I had vertigo, dizzy. Anxiety was absolutely through the roof. And this carried on for the next week. And I sort of really, I had better days than others, but for the first week, definitely was absolutely terrible for everything that I just mentioned. Like the vertigo blew me away. Like even just moving my eyes slightly to the side would give me vertigo. It felt like I was on a roller coaster ride. Like it felt like G-force was hitting me in the face. Like it's that bad. Then the second week, I got some really bad anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I was only averaging maybe 2 to 4 hours of sleep. I was getting waves of anxiety, that hot, wavy feeling going from, my whole body going up and down my whole body. And I was just crying. Like, I think I spent, one of the second weeks, one of the nights, I just cried for 2 hours straight. Now, when I was on Lexapro, I very rarely cried because I was feeling really, really good. But I was just an absolute mess, and I felt like I was going crazy. I honestly felt like, I was gonna die, or I wanted to die. Like it's horrible. And then this went on, and then the third week, still had a little bit of these symptoms. They started to ease, but it still carried on until the third week. And I ended up having a few days of reprieve from it, which was about day 10. So I'll just backtrack a bit. So day 10, I ended up going back to my doctor, and I told her everything. And I said, look, I'm starting to feel a little bit better, but I asked her questions like, can I go back on this thing permanently if I don't find any relief? And she said she preferred me not to, but if I had to, I can. And it just requires me to monitor my kidneys and my liver and my vitamin B12 for the rest of my life. But it is possible. And yeah, so that's where I was at. But then after that, I did get worse again, and I had, it wasn't continual, but I had good and bad days, and I started to get sick. And what this was happening was in the third week, I started to get a cold. But it wasn't a sore throat or anything. It had just attacked my sinuses. And I've never had anything like this before. It attacked my sinuses that bad that I couldn't breathe out both nostrils. It was awful. Now, this went on for the next 2.5 months. So I would have a week off, or I'd recover for that week, have a week off of being sick. Then the following week, on a Sunday or a Monday night, I would get sick again. Then I would be sick just in the sinuses for that week, recover for another week, got sick again. Same, it was like a Sunday or a Monday, sick again, then had a week off, and then for the 4th time, I got sick again. So hence why all my videos from the last couple of months, I've been absolutely sinusy and more nasally than normal, because that's what it was doing to me. It was, obviously, this is my way of detoxing from this drug. And the same thing happened to me when I caught COVID. For 2 months, for 3 months after I got COVID, I got sick in the sinuses again, and then a month off, and then I got sick again from COVID, and then I was pretty much right after that. And also I am unvaxxed from COVID. I never got the vaccine, so I actually did pretty well with COVID. So the rest of the time that took me up to the 2.5 months, I was on and off anxiety. I was having more bad days than good. So once I got over the worst of the withdrawal, I then basically started to, I had a bit of a break where I didn't feel too bad, but then I started all my stupid thoughts starting to come back again, and my anxiety was starting to worsen. And because the biggest reason why I went on Lexapro is because I always thought there was something wrong with me. I was dying because I'm a hypochondriac, and Lexapro stopped me from thinking, because I would think every second of the day that I was dying. So this was all starting to come back again, and my stomach started to flare up really bad, and everything just turned to shit, basically. And it was really hard for me to get back into a doctor. So my original doctor, basically it takes 3 weeks onwards, anywhere up to even a month, to get back into her. And I decided to rebook with another doctor locally where I am. So I went down that route. So I'm still waiting for that doctor's appointment, but it was a lot quicker than getting into my original doctor. And I made a rash decision after 2.5 months, because I couldn't deal with the anxiety that I was going through. I made a rash decision and I started taking my Lexapro again. I still had a full sheath of it and I decided to go back onto it again. Well, guess what? That was a whole new set of problems. This was honestly, as we sit here right now, I went back on Lexapro 5 days ago. So that's my 5th day. And honestly, this was a whole new level of low. I have never experienced mental illness like I had going back on Lexapro. It made me that nauseous. Today's been the first day I have been able to function. I'm still sick, still nauseous, but it was debilitating. The nausea has been absolutely debilitating, and I'm still not 100% right. And I'm getting better though. I went to the pharmacy and I got them to give me something for the nausea. So I'm on Phenergan. I haven't taken that yet. I've got to take it tonight. It's going to make me drowsy, but if it gets me through getting back onto Lexapro, then so be it. Unfortunately, that's the decision I made. It's not ideal, but I now have to go to the doctor and see what else I can do. But at this stage, I feel as though I need to stay on Lexapro. It's not ideal, but I'm not on 20 milligrams anymore. I'm not going to go back to that. I'm going to stay on 10. And once I get into a good mindset, I'm going to drop it down to 5. And I'm going to see how I go from there. And I'm also going to start doing some work on my head. I'm going to try and incorporate meditations and all that sort of stuff and sort of try and get better and stronger, because I was not prepared and I should have been doing some work over the 4 years, but because I felt so good, I felt as though I didn't need to. I thought I was okay. Now, this is not this is just a Band-Aid, Lexapro. It doesn't help the problem. You've basically, as far as I'm concerned, you've got to start doing the work as well. But when you do come off of it, you've still got to beat the withdrawal syndromes. Well, it's basically not a withdrawal. It's more of your brain and your gut has to adjust back, and it's got to start working the way it was before. And that is traumatic. Trust me, it is extremely traumatic. But if you want to do it, you will do it. And it apparently does subside for most people after 3 months, but I was nearly there, but I started to get worse and I started to feel all the anxiety that I'd felt before I went on the pills. So that's why I made the decision to go back onto it. Now, if you want to ask me any questions about this, like if you want to get deeper into what I went through, if you want to ask me questions, if I went through anything, because this is not everything that I've mentioned, like it's the bulk of everything. But if you want to ask me any questions, go ahead, leave them in the comments. I will respond to you for sure. For the foreseeable future, I can't see me getting off this, because as long as it's going to go back to normal and I'm going to feel some relief, I can't see me sort of getting off of this. And I didn't want to be on it, obviously, because it is it's one of the lesser evils of Big Pharma, but it's still it's still not a good product, and you still have to sort of monitor your kidneys and your liver over the years. But you just got to get liver supporting herbs and drink plenty of water. I do that anyway. I am on supplements for my stomach anyway. My stomach was screwed before I even went on Lexapro, so I still would have been on supplements. But yeah, it helps a lot, and I'm hoping that in the future they may bring out some better drugs. And yeah, I'm hoping that that's going to happen. Being big pharma, it's probably still going to have downsides to it, but yeah, I just have to evaluate it in the future. But right now I need to get into a better headspace. Like I'm not in a good place right now. I'm getting there, but yeah, it's been brutal, and I've had such a great support system. My partner has supported me. He has been wonderful. He's been getting me through this. My parents have been getting me through this. Extended family has helped as well, like getting to talk to them, or talk to them through my father anyway, about, like, because this is a history on my dad's side, and my dad's side is where the mental illness comes from. It's riddled. My mum's side, not one single mental illness in there. So I've taken after my father there. So with also saying that, I am not going to have a video on Sunday because I am that far behind, because I had absolutely no motivation because I was debilitated. I struggled to get through a lot of the videos, and I'm usually a good 3 to 4 weeks in advance for my videos, and I've used up all those lives. So I don't have a video other than this one. This is the only video I could put up. Yeah, so unfortunately there's not going to be one Sunday. I'm hoping to have one next Sunday, but I just got to see how I go, because I'm pretty far behind. And it does take me a fair bit to whack out one of these videos, and my motivation's not fully there yet. So yeah, so that's what's been going on, and I'm hoping to start feeling normal, my normal self again. But yeah, it's taken a toll on me, and mentally it nearly destroyed me. I am going to be honest. So the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was basically of how I feel and how I have been feeling. And it's basically just a monster, and well, it's two monsters, and the main monster is the one in the beigey sort of skin color, and the other one is part of it as well. So it's attached to it, and it's basically the mental illness trying to break the other monster apart. And as you can see, the mental illness is in that monster as well. As you can see by its left arm is blue, like the mental illness monster, and it's just trying to tear me apart. And that's how I felt. Like the needles in the guts represent the horrible, nauseous, sick feeling, debilitating sick feeling that I was feeling in my abdomen and my lower stomach. And yeah, just the sheer torture of feeling like I was feeling. Yeah, like I said, if you've got any questions, let me know. If you want to have a chat in the comment section, by all means, put a comment down below. I'll reply to you. And yeah, I'm out of here. I'm going to go and get into a better headspace, hopefully. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.